Hello, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the possibilities of import substitution, challenging economies of scale, and also the idea of low-touch tourism. So, and what is this in reference to? Well, we're talking about a post-pandemic world in which investment will be coming in different places than before. So, first of all, let's look at supply chain pain points. Much investment is being directed right now into the idea of self-sufficiency to local markets so that things will not be just completely shut down or lives put in risk due to the fact that there is just a single source or a single location of, say, manufacturing. So the idea is import substitution. Instead of having to import critical things, at least putting some capability and capacity in country and locating where the highest priority should be based on urgency of need. And then second, we're looking at rethinking the idea of comparative advantage. Yes, a country may have a comparative advantage due to their location or infrastructure, but if the materials are having to be exported and things are killing them in the supply chain, then that comparative advantage has just completely been lost. So sometimes the comparative advantage might be to have things located closer, and it might have to do with actually having manufacturing or eliminating some of the just-in-time by having intermediary warehouses. Some people have talked about the idea of digital warehouses. That's an interesting possibility. So the another issue that we're looking at and rethinking is the concept of import substitution, economies of scale. Economies of scale seem like a great idea when you have a really, really robust supply chain and you have multiple ways to get your product to the market. In the case of, though, having massive mega factories, and there are just a few of them, if one goes down and it jeopardizes an entire industry or an entire population, suddenly those economies of scale get questioned. So the question is now, can we use technology to make economies of scale possible even at lower cost, lower volume, smaller size operations. So that's pretty interesting if you think about it. So, for example, in the case of pork processing, instead of having a massive mega pork processing plant that services a third of the country's supply, if you distribute it within over 5, 6, 10 smaller factories, and that you use technology to optimize the operations, then there could be those economies of scale that are even taken down a little bit lower. And then, of course, we see the economies of scale, say, in terms of distribution. For example, being able to have something like an Uber milk instead of pouring the milk into a manure pile. Go ahead and just put out a call on Uber milk, and everybody with a refrigerated dairy truck, boom, go and take the milk into a place where you can turn it into cheese or something, yogurt, whatever. And then another thing we'd like to talk about finally is the investment that's going to go into low touch, socially distanced tourism. We're going to have to think over how to change things for a new world. So, for example, what is Sturgis, South Dakota, going to do with their big motorcycle rally that generates $1 billion of revenue for the state? Can they close it, and can they afford to have it shut down? I think what they'll have to do is do things like social distancing at their, what is it called, cow chip? I haven't been to it, but I had the chance to drive around that town before the thing started. So they have, and looked at the program, but keep as much as possible in the open air, have more venues that are smaller. So instead of having one massive venue, have smaller venues that are similar, that have big screens to accommodate, say, 50 people instead of 500. Now, there are going to be a few costs there, but you can think about how to work out those costs. And then also have as much outdoor dining as possible. So I think that instead of giving up and just saying tourism is dead forever, let's think about how to have socially distanced, it's hard to pronounce, socially distanced tourism. So I just thought of a few thoughts and ideas, so now it's your turn to go with it. So thank you.